I saw a 10-second video that's being circulated on the internet that I thought was pretty disturbing. Here, I'll let you watch it for yourself.
So, yeah, it would definitely be something we continue to do in our pre-K clubs, if that were the case, as it is currently done in our pre-K 8s. But
God, you're hot. You know that? Dang. Where'd you go to school at?
I go Crockett.
All right.
I just want to be crystal clear. The motion tonight is just to move forward with the talks,
Yes.
move forward with the information gathered. That way nobody...
So yeah, that's pretty disgusting, isn't it? I mean, there's no other way to look at that, right? I mean, you hear people talking about, well, it was taken out of context. I mean, Keith Ervin said himself that it was taken out of context, right? Well, I thought I would go back and watch the entire video for myself just to make sure, because the news told me that all the students, or all the students' parents, not this student's parents, but all the students' parents in the school, I guess Washington County, are upset over this and are wanting him to step down or wanting him to be fired. So of course, and you saw what he did in that video, right? That 10 seconds of video. So I thought I'd go back and watch, the entire 2 hours of board meeting for myself to see if this guy is some kind of predator or whatever, and see for myself. So I'll check back when I'm done. Well, I looked at the video. I didn't see anything strange. I mean, they were interacting, they talked back and forth, she smiled and laughed. He smiled and laughed a few times, but I didn't see him. It didn't look like from the video footage that he was like, trying to, I don't know, do anything weird. It's just a normal interaction in a meeting in between the breaks and stuff like that. I didn't see him like trying to look like he was trying to pick up some young girl or anything. And she didn't look to be, weirded out by him or anything like that. She seemed to be comfortable in the situation. So I didn't see any kind of predatory behavior. So that, I don't know. So if I didn't know beforehand what the news media told me, and I didn't know to look for predatory behavior before I saw that 10-second clip, and knowing how a lot of people are around here, and knowing how full-grown men his age talk to me, and sometimes when they're talking to me, touch me on the arm, touch me on the hand, pat me on the shoulder. Older women, if you go to church around here, the man has 2 daughters of his own. He's a farmer. He's not some professor. So his use of the English language is a little different than some other people probably on that board. So knowing this, and knowing from my past experiences growing up as a teenager, and those certain individuals who have complimented me in the past, could this individual have actually meant something else besides telling this young lady, saying, because notice something here. This young lady literally just impressed the entire board with her line of questions. I mean, for a high school girl to talk like that in a way that most adults twice her age won't ask questions like that. For her to do that, and then for Keith to turn in his seat immediately after that line of questions and to touch her on the arm and pretend he got burned, which shows that it was because of the way she was talking, to represent she was on fire because of her speaking abilities, those questions she was asking. And then he immediately asked her, where do you go to school again? He knew where she went to school. He'd been talking to her for an hour. He knows who she is. He was just pointing to the fact that she goes to the same school, that he went to, which I think, I could be mistaken. I'm pretty sure that she goes to the same school that he went to. Crockett, or I think that's where it went, yeah. So he's pointing out the fact that she's smart because she went there. So he was bringing attention to that. And that's why everybody in that room laughed. If you noticed, Boyd laughed. The lady next to Boyd laughed. The uniformed law enforcement officer next to that lady laughed. Nobody was shocked. Nobody in that room that I saw on that board that was in the view of that camera was shocked. They're all just, hey, it was funny. Why? Because they understood the context. But the people who saw the 10-second clip, they were told by the news media, they were told by the internet before they clicked on the video or before they saw the video, this guy is a sexual predator. This guy had touched her in an inappropriate way and said something inappropriate to her. So before they even saw the video, in their mind, what in the world did this guy just say to this young lady? Yeah. So now you got 2,000 people signing a freaking, change.org, signing a petition to try and remove this guy, which I guarantee you half the people that signed it aren't even in Washington County. But regardless, the petition is probably an exercise that isn't going to mean anything because the voters have to decide, not change.org. But irregardless, everybody is reacting to what they were told, not reacting to the situation. If the man had been talking to her for over an hour, and based on the video, it looked like he knew her beforehand. I don't know. Maybe it's just because they talked before the meeting. I don't know. And everybody was introducing themselves. But she seemed comfortable around him. It didn't seem awkward in any way. I don't know. I don't know what was said beforehand. You would have to ask her. Her parents would have to ask her. But her parents aren't saying anything. I saw online where her aunt had said something, but I know how that goes. But, my parents think one way and some of my aunts think a different way. So, whatever the case. But when you look at the situation, the one time he says something out loud in front of a room that appeared to be 50 to 60 people, and a camera, and 2 law enforcement officers, uniformed law enforcement officers, sitting right there, he decides to say something out loud that is sexual in nature instead of complimenting her on her speaking ability. Come on, use your head. Does that make sense? So, okay, maybe not everybody uses the word hot to describe somebody's speaking ability, but this gentleman, who is a farmer, did. If it had been on the football field and somebody's performance had been, really good, that might have made sense and nobody would have blinked an eye. She didn't get up there and in a freaking bathing suit and model for everybody. This wasn't a beauty pageant. She literally had just asked a line of questions that most adults can't ask. She was on fire for her performance in that way. And he touched her on the arm and said, psst. Yeah, You are hot. Now, yeah, okay, maybe that's kind of awkward. But you know what? This is not the first time I've seen adults say awkward things. Not everybody comes out and says the right word that sounds appropriate. And if somebody had a video camera every time I've been complimented by every adult in my life and got a 10-second clip, I guarantee you they could have taken that and run with it and be like, this dude's hitting on him. Come on, use your head, people. We live in a generation where everything's clickbait, or not clickbait, it's a freaking sound bites. Well, it's clickbait too, but it's sound bites. Everything is sound bites. And people don't do research. They're too freaking lazy. They want to be told what to think. The headline, this individual, he called her hot. Why did he call her hot? Well, there's only one reason you would call a young lady hot, right? He wouldn't have called a young boy that, right? You don't know that. Somebody's on a freaking football field and they make a touchdown. And he makes several touchdowns. This guy's on fire. Maybe a coach or somebody who doesn't use the right word at the time might call the individual hot. I don't know. But I do remember throughout my time growing up, there are adults who used awkward terminology to compliment me. So yeah. So use your freaking heads, people. And then, yeah, and then if you look online, they're posting this article from 2010 where he got censored. He didn't get charged with anything. He didn't get removed from the board. He got censored. Why would he have been allowed to remain on the board if he had done something horrible or something related to that was predatory in nature? Think about it. If you read the article, it said he made a gesture. Now use your head here for a second, people. What kind of gesture do teenagers use, or even in the military, that we commonly use to individuals who say something that you think is dumb? That's kind of a lewd gesture. I'm not going to make the full gesture here, but when I think somebody says something dumb, yeah, I've done it. If I'm being honest, yeah, I've made the gesture. Yeah, it doesn't take a freaking genius to figure that one out. Oh, but because he did this gesture back in 2010, he's a sexual predator. Yeah? He said some bad words. Do you know how many times I heard an adult in high school use a bad word? When I was in the gym and some knucklehead decided to take the weights off of one end of the bar, instead of evenly, like coach had just literally told us to take off the weights evenly, one at a time off of each side, instead of all the weights off of one end of the bar at one time. Yeah, And then coach went off on this individual, and guess what? Not all those words were nice. Yeah. So yeah, he got censored. He's not allowed to go on campus unless one of the other board members is with him and it's an official function or official board meeting. Yeah, well, that makes sense. But he wasn't banned from the board. He wasn't, completely taken off the board, and he wasn't charged with anything. Why? Because it wasn't actually sexual in nature. Yeah, okay, it was a lewd gesture. He used a bad word. But now you look on the internet, everybody's like, oh my gosh, there's a pattern here. A pattern of what? Genius. But this is how people work in society. You tell them what to think before you show them a 10-second clip. You show them an article. They don't know what the article is. It was a gesture. Well, what kind of gesture? Was he trying to pick up a little girl or a young lady, underage? Can you tell me? No, you can't. But you're going to post it on the internet and everybody's going to click likes on it. Oh my gosh, there's a pattern here. people are dumb. Sorry. I'm not trying to insult everybody's intelligence out there, but you know what? I'm a retired senior NCO. I'm used to talking to people in the military. So yeah, there's knuckleheads out here. They don't think. You know, I was taught a little bit about human psychology and how to deal with people, and I've had to deal with human issues. People just don't think. And I've had to deal with problems, and I've had to figure out who's telling the truth and how to look at situations before running it up the chain of command. Is this guy some kind of predator? Is everything that's being posted on the internet, does it make sense? So yeah, I'm going to look at the evidence first instead of jumping on the bandwagon like all these other people. Oh my gosh, I watched the 10-second video. I don't need to see anything else. I know what he said. I know what he meant by it. Do you? You've never seen anybody use a word that just was kind of awkward, but he didn't really mean it in that way. You've never seen that before. Really? People, they're dumb. All right, I'll get off my soapbox here, but think about what you're accusing this guy of. I don't even know the individual. I just get sick and tired of watching people jump to conclusions off of 10-second video clips, and they don't even care to watch to see if this guy actually is some kind of predator. And then if you ask the question, did you watch the whole video? Did you see everything? They'll accuse you of being some kind of pedophile or trying to, well, if you're trying to protect this guy, you must be one yourself, right? Well, only pedophiles protect pedophiles, right? No, it's called wanting the truth, people. Do you care about the truth? You want to accuse every individual out there of something without knowing the facts? We live in a society now where facts don't seem to matter anymore. Everything is just, well, I seen the 10-second video. That's all I need. Yeah, let's throw this guy under the bus. Well, I'm not trying to get elected to any kind of position, so I can get on here and say whatever the hell I want. I'm not worried about being accused of something. Yeah, somebody asked me if I wanted to run for a position in our county. No, I'm not getting involved in politics. That's why I joined the military. I did my 23 years in the military. I'm not playing this stupid game. Freaking politics. Because you got to deal with crap like this. No. But yeah, use your head, people. Oh, and one more thing. If Boyd and some of the other board members suddenly change their tune, it's not because they think that Keith is suddenly in the wrong. It's because they understand the mob and the mob mentality. Because once people are triggered and they believe a certain way, it's very difficult to change their thinking. Once they believe that what Keith did was suddenly or what he said was suddenly sexual in nature, the chances that Boyd or any other board members are going to be able to explain that his context, that was not the context, or that was not what he really meant by it, the chances that they're going to be able to explain that to anybody is very slim. And they understand that. And if they do try to do that, they're going to put themselves in the same boat as Keith, which means that if Keith goes down, they're going to go down with him. And they don't want to risk it. This is called politics. You have to choose which boat you want to be in. And so if they think the majority of voters believe this narrative, they're either going to distance themselves or they're going to say, well, no, we knew it was wrong, but we just didn't want to make a scene, so we just kind of played it off. BS. You can watch the video for yourselves. Everybody in that room was laughing because they knew that what Keith said was harmless and that he was speaking to the young lady's intelligence and speaking ability that she literally just said. So, you know what? Yeah, ain't buying it, Boyd, if you try to change your mind. Or anybody else on that board who gets questioned, who laughed. Yeah, no, you understood the context. So if you try to change your mind because you want to get reelected and you're afraid that the voters, just, you know, the mob out there is going to, you know, drag you down with him, you know what? Get some balls. You know, it takes balls to stand up for somebody when you know it's right. And that's the thing. In politics, there's very few individuals that got balls. So if you understood the context, then freaking say it. Because I know you did. You could see it. Everybody on that board, most of the room, I'm sure there was some individual in the room that was awkward. Yeah, well, not everybody uses that word. I get it. Yeah, This guy's not a professor. He's a farmer. So, yeah, ain't buying it if you change your tune.